Hello and welcome to the second part of this two-part series tutorials. In this part I will go over the on-air graphics and how you can adjust them and edit them. So let's see. The first lower third we're gonna talk about is gonna be the long lower third. If I drop down my folder here, I will find the render folder, and inside it you will find the long lower third composition. You can just click and drag this into your composition and it will update. As you can see, this is how it looks like. It might be a little too big, but you can rescale these however you want. If I go to my scale options by pressing S on my keyboard, you can see this gives us the scale options, and here we can just make this smaller like so, and I can reposition this wherever I want. Just drag it down a bit. And there you have it. That's all you have to do, and this is already animated. Now let's talk about how you can adjust these animations. So if I double click this composition, it will open up the composition containing all the animation controls, and here you can see I already set up controls for each plate, each individual plate. So you can see it has controls for the primary, which is this one in the center. The one line is gonna be one line of text. The two lines gonna be the two lines of text, so a longer plate that's below the primary one. And then we have the logo one, which is this one at the top. So you can see you have individual controls over each plate. So if I were to adjust these controls, you can see it updates in the viewport. So let's say I want to make the primary slate appear a little faster. I can just drag the keyframes over, and you can see it has a faster transition. For now I will leave it, yeah. And the same goes for each individual plate. You can, for example, let's say you don't want the one line plate, you just want the two line plate to show up. You can just click the stopwatch and set this to 0, and I'm just gonna drag these keyframes for the two line plate over, and you can see it goes from primary. I'm gonna set this to quarter resolution so it works faster. As you can see, primary transition into second transition, I mean the two line plate transition. And the logo, you can also delete the logo if you want. Just click the stopwatch and set it to 0. I will undo that. So you can see it just uses the two lines, and same goes if you want to use just the one line. You can set the two lines to 0 and you can animate the one line. So that's it for long lower third. Let's see what else we have. If I go into rounds, yeah, after you've done animating this, you can just go into your holders, and here you can edit each line of text individually. Just double click to open it, and then double click the text layer, and you can type whatever you want and it will update in the final composition. So I'm gonna undo that. Let's see. So moving on to, let me just close this first. Moving on to rounds. Let's see. Drop down the rounds, drag and drop the rounds composition. Gonna delete the lower third one, and here you can see again, I made these bigger, so in case you need to scale them, but usually you will have to scale them down a bit. Gonna position this, and let's see. If we double click this, here you have the controls layers. I'm gonna press E for effects, and here you can see all the options that you can animate. Let's start with the primary option. So the primary option, I'm gonna set this to quarter res so it works. So the primary attribute then you can modify is gonna be this main slate in the middle with containing the round title, so this one. Then we have, I'm just gonna use the FX controls tab because this shows up better. So let's see, we have the time animation, so this is gonna be this one. We have the names slate, which is gonna be the slate containing both names. Let's see, logo, this one right here. So moving on to our time attributes, let's see, if I set this to 3 instead of 4, you can update the minute, so it's gonna be the minute here. And you can also edit the seconds, so let's see, I'll go with second 25, and you can see it's 30, but it's important to know that this will start at 25, so at the beginning of the composition this is gonna be at 25, and by the time it animates it's already, you can see 28, 29 as the timeline as we scrub forward. So that's the time, and let's see, we have left the colors. Top color, you can just easily click and choose whatever color you want. You can see it updates in the viewport, and the same goes for the other color. So that's about it for rounds. Let's move on. Gonna delete the rounds composition, and next we have the rules. Gonna drag the rules, and this is what it gives us. Let's see, I'm gonna press S and rescale this a bit, and let's see if we double click, or you can double click here. Let's see our controls. We have primary control, which is the main slate, the title slate. We have the text slate, which is this one below the title slate, and then we have the logo slate, which is the one at the top. So the same thing goes as the other two, just edit the keyframes and you can have your animation. Also, if you go in the holders, you can see all the individual holders are here. So for logo, text and rules, double click, change. You can also just make delete this layer entirely and make a new one with whatever you want, but I recommend double clicking and editing it like this. So next we have the scorecard. Gonna delete the rules composition, drop down the scorecard, click and drag. This is the scorecard. Here the same thing applies. Double click, edit your controls, then go into holders and edit the holders. Very easy. And the same thing applies for the short lower third one, which is the same as the first long lower third, just that it's shorter. And gonna rescale, and this is what it looks like. Same controls as the first one, same control for each individual plate if you double click, and that's about it. So that was part 2, and thanks for watching.